Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to JBDC's Virtual Biz Zone. My name is Dania Bennett, your host for this session. And this week, the JBDC is celebrating a very special week, Global Entrepreneurship Week. And we have a wide array of activities lined up for you, which will be beneficial, and I'm sure that you will find even entertaining as well, as you get the information you need to navigate being an entrepreneur. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Global Entrepreneurship Week, it actually started in 2007, and it is a worldwide celebration for entrepreneurs, startups, innovators who are assisting in building economies and just human expansion generally. So JBDC has been celebrating Global Entrepreneurship Week. And of course, this week, the 8th to the 14th, will have all the days lined up in terms of activities for you. So the theme for this week is actually reboot, rethink, and regenerate. And of course, coming out of the coronavirus pandemic, we definitely need to figure out what should we do? How do we navigate the road after Corona, or even while it's still going on? And so, of course, that topic is very appropriate, and we have zoomed in even further to focus on rethink creative destruction, service remodeled. So that will be our theme for this Virtual Biz Zone, and we have a very familiar and also very appropriate presenter for you today. His name is Mr. Colin Porter. And of course, he's no stranger to us here at the JBDC. He's actually the manager of the Technical Services Department here at JBDC. He is a certified growth wheel advisor, and he is a graduate of the UWI St. Augustine with a BSc in Industrial Engineering. He's an active member of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, where he previously served as vice president, and he's a registered engineer with the Professional Engineers Registration Board. He's a board member for the Professional Engineers Registration Board and member of the Industrial Engineering Advisory Committee of the University of Technology. He's a part-time lecturer in product design at the Enamani College of the Visual and Performing Arts. And of course, he is an avid photographer, product developer, and visual designer. So he is his catalog is huge, and he is ready and willing to present to you today on how you can remodel your service coming out of the Corona pandemic. So Colin, before I turn over to Colin, if you have any questions going forward, you can type it in the chat. And of course, after his presentation, we will check on the questions and try to provide you with the answers. And you can either click on the icon if you want to raise your hand to ask a question. So with no further delay, over to you, Colin.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I was wondering who you was talking about earlier when you during that introduction, but when you kind of immersed in all those activities, sometimes it's strange when you hold your head up. So again, as Dana mentioned, we are yet celebrating another Global Entrepreneurship Week this year under the theme Reboot, Rethink, Regenerate. And as my screen comes up now, we're gonna, let me just roll off a discussion on the topic that we have, which I'm talking about today, which is service remodeled. Now, as Dana mentioned, since the year 2000, literally January 2000, we started feeling the effects in March last year. The world has pretty much been rebooted. We were open. This pandemic was unleashed on the whole world, and many countries would have thought, oh, it's not going to affect us until we were hit, and so we were caught unaware. And this included many businesses, including here in Jamaica, and we've seen the effects of it. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is, in this kind of environment, how can we look as entrepreneurs to remodel the way in which we deliver service. Earlier this morning, my former colleague, Althea West-Myers, presented on the new mindset and how entrepreneurs need to have that new mindset in this type of environment, in this scenario. And so I'm going to look at another side. There are probably going to be some overlaps between what I've mentioned, but it only helps to reinforce the importance of having that shift in focus that we bring into business. So when we talk about service remodel, what are we going to be talking about? And we are seeing a familiar image here. Practice social distance. See, stand within the circle, stand apart. How can we do business in an environment where we are literally all now apart? We engage people remotely, whether it be our co-workers, whether it be our customers, whether it be our suppliers, and so on. We have literally moved away from this personal contact scenario, going to this virtual thing. And it has disrupted quite a bit. From a customer perspective, which is where I'm going to be talking about how we manage our customer relationships, how we can become more flexible and more agile to pivot, to make changes, to adjust so that we can adapt and survive. And then how we optimize our operations. All these are critical components of remodeling of the service that we have and we deliver. What are the pain points that our customers are feeling and how can we address them? So let's look at this first situation here, managing the customer. And I've put this graphic here to show the experience that we go through as entrepreneurs. You have your customers, and if we follow the purple arrows, who come to us through some interface, whether it is our shop, a brick and mortar shop, a virtual presence, service delivery, whatever it is that we're offering to our clients. And we have an interface where we make that exchange with our customers. But what are we exchanging? We go to operations, whether we are a manufacturer producing widgets, whether we have a service or delivering some other type of product, we have operations. We use those operations to create something of value through which we exchange with our customers through this interface. But how we do that, right? And we have different levels of customers. We have internal customers, we have external customers who we have to interface with. So whether we're talking about a B2B situation, business to business, or a business to customer or the final user, we all have the need to provide service to these clients. So let's do some definitions now. Customer service. This is something that we hear about as entrepreneurs. It is preached to us a lot as business service providers, such as the JBDC here. We preach it to our clients a lot. You need to focus on customer service. What is customer service? It's defined as the act of supporting, of providing support to both your existing and your prospective customers. Why do you need to provide this support? So that you can engage, you can provide something of value to customers. Now, each enterprise will have their own unique definition or their own unique focus on customer service as well. Within JBDC here, we're going through the whole ISO 9001 process, which is about quality management systems. So we have to focus on customer service. That's a part of our mission, and our mission speaks to driving entrepreneurial success and development of the MSME sector through dynamic and innovative solutions. It says what we are doing for our customers or with our customers, right? You, the entrepreneurs. So we work with you to push these dynamic and innovative solutions. Within your own organization, your own enterprise, you have to define what it means to you to deliver customer service and what your mission is. However, what we realize now today is that persons are going beyond just delivering a service to their customers. Customers want and expect to have an experience. And this experience happens at different levels, right? And the definition here says the customer experience is everything related to a business that affects a customer's perception and feelings about it. So everything about your business. It's not just your sales aspect in terms of having a nice smile and providing something to your customer, but every aspect of your business. And so this afternoon, I'm going to be talking not just about the front end part, but go into a little bit of the back end part and talk to us about some ways in which we can enhance this customer experience. As you would have heard in introduction, my background is technical and creative. I'm an engineer, and I'm also a creative person. I'm not a marketer really, but we have to now look at the customer experience as a critical marketing function, but it's going beyond that. And so my perspective today is not on the marketing focus, but on the other aspects of the customer experience that you need to look at in remodeling your service and delivering your service and products to your customers. So let's look at the relationship here between us, the entrepreneur, and our customers, and look at why we need to pay attention to this customer experience that we want to deliver and the quality service that we want to deliver. And these are what some of the benefits are of having a good customer experience system or philosophy in place. We've seen that positive experience drives loyalty to your customers, because people who experience pleasant things will share that information with other people. They will feel a part of you. So even when you look at it from the wider perspective from your brand and what your brands represent, the customer has to be a part of your brand. They have to be in the focal point to have this positive experience that will drive their loyalty, that will make you feel like family. They are a part of you. You have to embrace them and accept their perspective as well. We'll also see that this positive customer experience can generate revenue. So all the sales strategies you have, all the wonderful products you have at the perfect price points, have all the features that the market wants and so on, the difference becomes critical when you have that positive customer experience, because people will now spend more money to buy your products and access your services once they have that connection to you, they experience that positive engagement and so on. Of course, it makes all the promotions and marketing activities believable. Have you ever had the experience with a product or a service and you watch their ads on TV or you watch it on YouTube or the newspaper and so on, and you not no go so. Joke them again. Because the ad they paint is one of the best product in the world, is the best place in the world, and we mean a lot to our customers, but you would have had the experience of interacting with that product or that service, and you know differently, right? So, however, you engage with someone and the experience was so wonderful, then whatever they put out, you will endorse it and say, yes, this is true, they're talking. I really believe this. And that helps to, again, push other aspects of it. And of course, critically, within a whole feedback loop is that this positive experience gives you valuable insight from the customer's perspective, based on their behavior, based on the honest feedback that most likely they will give you, right? No one will tell you that they enjoy something if they don't enjoy it, especially if they have to pay for it. And especially when you think about in the Jamaican situation here and with the change in perspectives that COVID has brought on, people are being brutally honest with services. If you're not performing good, they will say it. right? So we have to look at how we create this relationship and so on. Now, and it will come up in a later slide, but I want to point out to you that when we're talking about enterprise, we're talking about all persons connected to your organization, whether you employ them directly, whether you contract their services, or you buy services from them. It becomes important that we look at that as a part of your enterprise. But we'll talk some more about that later on. So now let's look at the slide here. Shows just a little bit about the approach or the focus of the different methods of customer service and engagement. Traditionally, when we speak about good customer service, it's the usual kind of things that we expect. You know, you call a business, you expect them to answer the phone on time and answer the phone pleasantly, responding to emails promptly, having a friendly smile when people walk into your office or your store front or wherever, having a helpful brochure or information that you can share, giving people a free token or something, you know, customer appreciation day and all that type of stuff and so on. So this is what we have become used to. However, the new customer, if I may call them that, kind of expects a little bit more now, because some people may see these traditional ways as, yeah, they're good, but sometimes it can use to cover sloppy service in between. You ever go somewhere, you're not getting through, you're having problems, and they put a customer service rep in front of you and the most pleasant person, and you're smiling, and yes, sir, you know, well, service is not going to be restored to you until 10 weeks time, but, you know, have a glass of you know, wonderful blended natural juice, you know, that will calm it down, but come back to us in 10 weeks time. Pleasant, can't fault them for that, but delivery is not happening. In a new scenario now, we need to look at things like responsiveness, and we're going to talk about some of that situation later on, but having a responsive online presence. Not just an online presence, because now it is expected that as an entrepreneur, you will have an online presence. You literally can't survive, you don't exist in the world of entrepreneurship today if you don't have some kind of online presence, as pretty much a norm. But having an online presence that provides some responsiveness, that when people engage with you, then they have that connection going on is critical. A part of that online presence is being able to provide a set of FAQs, frequently asked questions, that provide real answers. So people can literally get immediate feedback without having to engage with someone to ask the questions. And they're going to be asking questions that literally everyone else is asking as well. But you want to provide real answers, or the FAQ should be able to direct you to real answers, and sometimes not just answers, but to a pathway to a solution. It may not give an immediate solution, but it certainly puts you on a path to getting that solution, and a path that you feel comfortable as a customer going down. Looking at cross-platform communication as well is something important. All the various online and offline methods to have that communication going, but also have it integrated so that the response you're getting from one platform will mirror what happens across another. So it becomes very important. It eliminates confusion, it eliminates frustration on the clients, from the client's perspective. How you engage with the product, or how the client engages with the product, is important as well. And to me, that is a part of the customer experience, the key part, the engagement with the product or the service. Providing that after sales or after contact engagement as well. So not just while experiencing the product, but what happens afterwards? What can you, the entrepreneur, glean from your audience? How they have interacted with the product afterwards? How do I follow up? How do I provide them with more information to ensure further engagement with new products or services that I may have down the road? And acknowledgement. Acknowledgement to your clients. It is now a two-way discussion that happens continuously. And it may not be that you're going to be talking to every single one of your customers individually, because that becomes impossible now. But that you have systems in place that provide these responses, automated responses. And there are tools today which help to build your capacity to provide some of these kind of responses and support in terms of engaging with your clients. However, one thing we know though, is that regardless of the method being used, whether traditional or more current, that customer experience needs to meet the bottom three criteria, which I have there, which is that you as an entrepreneur, you need to be efficient in the delivery of your service or the products that you're offering. And being efficient covers a wide range of things in terms of getting it to them at the right time, getting it to them at the right price, getting it to them with the right set of features and so on, right? You also need to deliver quality in there, right? Quality has to be a part of the experience. And I alluded to JBDC experience going through ISO 9001 right now. You may not be looking to implement an ISO level type quality management system in your operations, but you certainly should look at implementing some kind of quality management system. And by this, we mean setting a set of standards and adhering to them, right? My customers should hear from me within X time, right? If I promise to deliver a product and it doesn't happen, I will redress by Y time. This is how I will redress. And you standardize that so that every customer gets the same treatment. No matter how friendly your customer is, no matter how miserable or cantankerous your customer is, they get the same treatment. Very hard to do as humans when somebody beating down your back and cussing you left, right, and center. But we have to think of the enterprise and what we're delivering to people. We have no control over their behavior, but we have control over how we respond to various behaviors. And having some kind of quality system in place can help you to manage that. And of course, importantly, is that we need to deliver the right service or product to our clients. And it doesn't mean that you're making the wrong type of product. So if you're making juices, it's not that you're making the wrong juice, but based on what you have offered, what you have promised, you want to ensure that all the features are in alignment with what you say you are offering as an enterprise, right? So everything must match. So these are some critical aspects of re-engaging the new customer or engaging the customer in this scenario that we're faced with right now. And I'll just give some more specific examples of especially some of the features that we use to engage persons, as you see them here, and we all are familiar with them because we engage with them in different scenarios in our everyday lives. Because remember, and I always like to tell entrepreneurs, remember, you're also a customer when you put on another hat in the other aspects of your life. So you know what it feels like to be a customer when you're not getting quality service. When you engage a utility company, when you engage a distributor, when you engage a supplier, and you're not getting the expected feedback or level of engagement, you demand it. So try to use that experience as well to use in your own business and say, what if I were in my customer's shoes? How would I respond? How would I behave? And look at some tools that can assist you as a small entrepreneur, as someone with a small team, to provide the level of service which is important. And we see here at the top of it, we speak about social media but listening, monitoring, and responding. Social media started out, and in some cases are still seen as entertainment tools. We use it to kill time and to, during our downtime and so on. But a lot of the social media channels are important business tools. In fact, just last night, I was watching a little video clip on the start of YouTube. And among other things where people laughed at YouTube, the whole idea of uploading video and people watching it was just laughable. And if you remember the early days of YouTube, what was YouTube popular about? Cat videos and pet videos and people dancing and doing silly things. But YouTube has become such a powerful space that informs, educates. People are monetizing YouTube in different forms right now. People are promoting their businesses in serious kind of ways. People are putting cameras in their little factory spaces. People are using their own experiences to share with people on YouTube and so on. And in addition to the little slogan they have, click, share, and like, and leave a comment, that comment section can be very crucial for you as an entrepreneur. How you manage and monitor that comment section and give feedback. And we see it on other social media channels as well, are becoming more and more important business tools. And the beauty about these is that they're affordable. So anyone in business can engage these tools and use it to our benefit. Of course, live chats are something as well, encouraging your customers, and based on the level of service that you provide and the products and services you give. Your customers now will voluntarily create these community forums to discuss your products or your services and your features. It is possible. A lot of community forums are around that and how to use your product and your service in a way you engage them and you share ideas with them. It builds up that loyalty as well. Help ticketing systems. If you have such a platform in place, when people have problems, you send a help ticket. Here at JBDC, we have our help desk systems, which work perfectly with our IT department. We're having a problem, we just send an email to help desk, and two tools, they get an acknowledgement email that it was seen and has been assigned to this particular person, and then they will send you back an email or give you a phone call and they resolve the problem, and then you see ticket closed, which is important because it shows that there is resolution to the problem you've had, because you don't want to leave a customer hanging. Okay, yeah, you call me and you say you do this and that and so on, but we resolve the problem, or I'll call you back again tomorrow, ask you the same question about the same issues that we had. So it gives you that kind of finality and closes the cycle and so on. And other things, the whole issue of customer experience and satisfaction surveys as well. We tend to know that the bigger companies are the ones who go into this whole customer satisfaction surveys and so on, how your customers doing and so on. But even smaller enterprises as well, it becomes important. That feedback is important to you. And there are many ways in which you can conduct these surveys, formally, informally. You don't have to engage a big data mining company or data analytics company to do big surveys for you. There are tools out there, what the name SurveyMonkey and all of these online platforms, or even finding a way to collate information that you would have gathered through your social media and your website and other channels. But you have to do some analysis to these surveys to really glean what your customers are feeling, be able to gauge them, right? And I've into the last point here, which may look a little bit out of the way, but packaging that educates and informs. We get feedback typically through these things, but our products sometimes can also become a channel which trigger feedback. It can also help to enhance the customer experience and pull them in. So if you're, and I'm just going to use a general example here, you are making a food product And yes, the Bureau of Standards say your label should have the name of the brand on it and the type of product it is and the content and the ingredients and the weight and nutritional panel and so on. But if you put some information that can educate your customer about the product, how it is used properly, not just in a traditional way, but in different ways. You put on a QR code on it so they can scan it, because you can literally embed everything on the label physically. But it takes them to a point that tells them some more about the product and what it is, and give them an opportunity to give feedback on the product. How did it taste? Did you enjoy the product? What can we do to improve the product? And that becomes a new contact point for you and your customer. So there are many ways in which we can use customer engagement to drive our business. But I'm now gonna jump to another way and say, so as a business owner, what do I do? Yes, I now understand the importance of customer experience, of customer engagement, of delivering my service in the most efficient kind of way. But what can I do? So we want to move beyond the front line, that direct engagement that you have with your customer, and now look at what happens behind the scenes, right? This is where we want to touch on your operations, touch on the resources that you have, and how can you ensure that the promise you have made on the front line there can be delivered, right? So efficient business processes, your production processes, from warehouse delivery, and all of these other aspects of your operations now become very important. So at this point, I want to introduce a concept out. I'm going to say new concept, but I know this morning my colleague Althea West-Miles touched a bit on it in her presentation about the new mindset. And she spoke about Agile. And you see a definition here from this big organization which has grown out of those 17 or so software engineers who came up with this some years ago. Agile is the ability to create and respond to change in order to succeed in an uncertain and turbulent environment. Sounds familiar and sounds real? This uncertain and turbulent environment. We are now almost 2 full years into living in a pandemic world where a lot has been disrupted. Supply chains are in shambles in many parts of the world, and some experts predict that it will only get worse. But we have to survive, right? Now, as a modern business in this era, we need to adapt to new methods to manage our entire business operations, from engaging the client to delivering the product, right? Now, whatever set of processes you have, your business processes or your production processes, need to be improved to lead to greater efficiency, which again leads to you being more competitive, and not just competitive, but for you literally to be in survival or go beyond survival mode. And you're in that new normal now, as we call it. So we'll now look at this. I like to think of it as a philosophy, or as they have defined it, a set of principles and values and so on. But really, to me, it is a philosophy. It is a part of that new mindset that you have. You start thinking agile, right? And how we can use it not only to aid in improving the customer experience, but the other aspects of your operations, as I was mentioning. And coupled to it, and while not getting to these other areas in too much in depth, I'll just mention design thinking, for example, as another way in which people are now using to be innovative, to drive things, because central to even agile management, and some people talk about agile project management, is coming up with innovative ways or using methods which drive innovation in a very quick and efficient kind of way. So the Project Management Institute has this to say about Agile project management. It aims for early, measurable return on your investment through defined iterative product delivery or iterative delivery of product in increments, right? Increments, that incremental and iterative process is important. And we've heard it was originally developed for software by a set of IT experts. And you can understand why. Every so often your phone tells you that you need to update. You're using Windows or Mac. Well, I'm more a Windows person, so I can't speak for Mac too much. And you need to update your OS, or don't turn off your computer because it's updating. All these things you're seeing on your computers and your electronic devices come out of this whole agile management thinking. They give you a basic well, more than basic even, but let's call it basic, a basic functioning software solution that you can carry out your whatever you want to do with it, whether you're playing a game or you're doing some serious research or design work with it. But there always is something that can make it better. Now, instead of sitting down and spending 5 years to come out to the next better version of a particular software, we get frequent updates. So it allows us to work efficiently. And it gives these software engineers and designers the opportunity to experiment, to explore, to come up with new solutions and give us a solution in quick order, in short order. So it keeps us as customers satisfied. What lessons can we have from this method that the engineers have given us? They have the 12 Agile Principles, which you'd have heard Althea mention this morning as well. And I won't read through all 12 here, but what we have seen is that these principles, and I'll share the values afterwards, have now been transformed to different industries, right? One of the key thing about Agile, when you read through the principles, it speaks about using short iterative work sequences that they call sprints to come up with a solution, right? It includes several people working together, focused together to deliver a solution. Now, yes, it works with IT, but it can work in your manufacturing operation, in your service-based operation. There is agile marketing. There is agile HR to deal with human resource issues, so you can respond quickly and so on. So if we look at the values that are associated with these principles now, let's start on the right-hand column first, where we have processes and tools, comprehension, etc. These are very important values in any operation. But what Agile says is that we need to deliver quickly, so focus is given to individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Yes, you need to have your processes and tools, and those processes and tools pretty much would become your standard. You talk about your SOPs and so on. You have your tools to deliver. Those are a given, so you must have those. But in project situations, in manufacturing situations, the focus has to be now on the individuals and the interactions that you have. The individuals on your team, the type of interaction they have, how they work together to be able to deliver that process which is already in place. You have to have working prototypes over comprehensive documentation. Yes, the documentation is important. You need to know what you're doing and have it there for reference. But the focus has to be on getting these working prototypes out so that we can convert it to a saleable product or a saleable service to our customers. the customer collaboration over contract negotiations. Again, having your customer on board with you, getting feedback from them, understanding what the customer wants, having them communicate that to you so that you can deliver the right product to them becomes very important. And finally, the final agile value there, being able to respond to change. In COVID, we see a lot of businesses respond to change. Last year, we worked with so many clients who wanted to pivot, clients who were in the fashion industry, in garment manufacturing, and they started making the face masks when it was realized at the time that face masks are critical to have. Where do we get them? People are worrying and say, boy, we can't get N95 masks in abundance. So the next best thing is a cloth mask. And so we saw people responding to changes like that. We've seen the food delivery industry responding to that change, and so many companies, even though there were others there before the pandemic, but we didn't realize how important they were. So even customers respond to change. We as entrepreneurs need to understand what changes they are responding to so that we can respond to those changes as well. And we do this over following a plan. But we must have all the elements in the right column available, because we don't want a chaotic, because the thing about Agile is not, it is about the flexibility and be able to react fast and be responsive to risk and have space for different options so you know where to move. Agility is not being chaotic. It is not doing things blindly. It is not just about being first to do something in all cases, but it gives you the freedom to respond and the ability and the skill sets you need to respond in a quick way without wasting time. And have you ever been in a situation where you have someone want a question, whether you go to a business and you're trying to get some information and say, can you tell me X, Y, and Z? I'll get back to you. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and all of them can't get back to you. You want to be in a situation where, can you tell me X, Y, and Z? Okay. You can do this, that, or the other. You're literally getting an immediate feedback, or a feedback in a relatively short space of time. So that is what agility, how I define it, is in practical terms. It is always said that smaller businesses are able to be more agile than large corporations, because you have so many levels of decision making. You have to go through department. If you want to make a change, it has to go up to one layer of management to another layer of management, up to the vice president level and the president level and to the board level. So by the time that decision to make change goes through that process in that large corporation, market conditions have shifted. The environment has changed. With smaller companies, you are able to make the changes quickly. And it even boils down to not just from that perspective in terms of making decisions, but on the factory floor, in delivering your service. If you're a consultant or you have a service-oriented business where clients come in, you're a hairdresser or a barber, or you operate a spa or a salon or what have you, when COVID hit, people can't just walk into your store anymore because there are restrictions in numbers that can happen. So you should be able to pivot and say, okay, I need to put in a scheduling system that people can come in one at a time, two at a time, or I need to have a home delivery system where I can go to people's home and do your hair for them, or what it is. Or if I'm a consultant and don't have to go into my client's space, I can connect remotely. That is what Agile is really about. And for Agile to really work, however, understanding the concepts, which we're just introducing them here today, is important, but you think about how you can integrate it. Your team that you work with as well have to be a part of the Agile solution. Can't be you alone. even if you are a lone entrepreneur, you have people who you engage with, your suppliers. You may bring on people part-time to help with production or delivery of your service. You may have people who you can now work with remotely. They have to be a part of that process to be able to respond in an agile kind of way. So you have to develop the systems and use the tools now, which allow you to work collaboratively to be agile with them. Because it makes no sense that you, the business owner, you're as agile as any gymnast or anybody out there. But the people around you are like some hippopotamus after them have a big meal. And just sit down and say, yeah, right, I'm just want some water and a cool shade to digest all of this food that we just eat. So you can go on agile and jump up and down like the gazelle out in the savannah, right? So it has to be everybody working in that kind of way. So I want to move a little bit from agile, but not away from agile right now, and introduce another concept that we need to focus on. And I'm sorry, I hope I will not get in trouble here. I probably should have blurred out the names, but this is an example that a lot of us, certainly in Kingston, and maybe in other towns in Jamaica as well, have seen as this is a common occurrence. And this used to happen before COVID, and it has, in my opinion, been amplified since the start of COVID. And I can tell you personally, I hate lines, regardless of what the line is for or the kind of environment. So before COVID, I never did like lines. During living in COVID situation here now, as we say in Jamaica, I even wasara don't like lines. So I want to talk to you now about a new or another set of, let me call them tools, techniques that can help us to increase the efficiency of operations. And this picture is not just showing the only kind of queuing or line problems that exist, but it's one that really is close to home to a lot of us. So we're going to talk about queuing management or queuing theory, as they call it, and scheduling, and how this can help you to even be a little bit more agile, but how to be more efficient and have a handle on your operations. So let's look at this definition now, putting on the engineering hat a little bit. Queuing theory is the study of the movement of people, objects, or information through a line. I pay attention to that sentence here. Because when we hear about a queue, other than those people who frequent some establishments and a queue is a measurement of a particular beverage, we're not talking about that queue now. So different type of theory. Queue or the line. When we hear the word queue, we think of a line. But when we think of a line, we think of people. So we think of people outside the tax office, we think about people in the banks, we think about people lining up at depot to get a driver's license, we think about a queue of people outside KFC on a Friday, which locked down traffic throughout the entire Jamaica, and so on. But a queue can also represent a set of objects or process in a line, or information in a line. When we take up the phone and we call an organization that we're having some problems with, whether I don't want to single out any type of organization, and you're on the phone and say, welcome, you have reached the offices of that. All our operators, or whatever the term they use now, are busy at the moment. Some will tell you, you are number 10 in the queue. And then they put on some music to try and placate you because your temper grow now, and every so often they come. You are number 35 in the queue. I say, wait, let me jump from number 10 to 35. Or it feels like you're just waiting forever. That is another queue. as entrepreneurs, think about what queues we have and what queues our customers are joining. If it's a case where you supply your goods to order and someone orders a set of products from you and they have to wait 2 weeks for you to produce it, they are in a queue. Because you're going to have several people ordering. So several people going to be in that queue. Who you deliver to first, and so on. If you supply to a particular store, then they are in your queue as well. So once you go and deliver something, somebody is in your queue. So we all have queues in our enterprises. Now, with queuing, it examines every component of waiting in the line, which includes the arrival process, which can be when someone places an order, the service process, which is when you convert or provide your service, the number of servers, which means the capacity you have to deliver, right? When you go in the bank, the number of servers, number of tellers, or in tax office, number of people delivering whatever set of service and so on. In KFC, how much cashier them have, which normally is one cashier, and then you come and you wait until them call your number because you have several servers dishing out your meal, etc. Number of system places and the number of customers. All of this together make up the whole queue, right? And that last one, the number of customers, become important, right? Because the more customers in the queue is, the harder it now becomes to manage, right? So you'll find that queue covers a lot of real life situation, as we see here. When you're at the stoplight on the road, you're in a queue waiting for the green light to come for it to move through, and the lights at the traffic center will know you let through a certain number in this direction to the other direction. Why is that? It's about control. So a queue, however, is important, regardless of how much people in line. So even the people gathered outside the tax office there may look chaotic, but it's important that we queue. Why? Because it is how we manage the delivery of certain services now, and so on, in a way which is not chaotic. So management of the queue now becomes important. So let's look at some principles that can, it says here, to effectively reduce wait time, because that is the ultimate objective of a queue, to reduce a wait time. However, there will be a wait time. Very rarely do you find a situation where you just walk in and walk out without waiting. In situations where that happens, it means you have an overcapacity. If you run a facility, you're making organic soaps and so on, and you can, somebody call you and want soap, yeah, it's good to be able to deliver soap immediately. But sometimes if there is no wait time, and that wait time don't have to be long, it could be 1 hour, it could be a day. But if there is no wait time, sometimes an indication that, hold on, I have too much capacity. I'm making too much soap because I'm building up such an inventory that somebody coming and want 10 soap, I can give them without blinking my eye. And I have 100 still stuck up on the shelf. Maybe my capacity is too much and I'm tying up too much in inventory, just as an example. Or you walk in, imagine walking in the bank, and as you're walking, you walk straight up to a teller, and you get through and you're out of the bank in 5 minutes, and that happens to everybody. That would mean that literally every customer would have a teller at their disposal who walks in, and the bank goes and say, no, sir, I pay too much people for this first money, profit off go up at the end of the year, so let's balance that out. However, you don't want to go to the other extreme where you have one server or one processor with an abundance of customers in the queue. So you have to balance that. But let's look at how we can effectively reduce wait time in queues now. You have to know your customer. What motivates them? Why are they in the queue? Will they wait? What their patience levels are? Do they have options to come out to the queue? You have a concept called barking, where you ever see somebody walking yet and they look at the lines and scratch their head and then they walk back out. I'm not joining this queue. right? So you have to know the customer. Will they join the queue or will they seek an option? Another principle, as I've started talking about, is to reduce the perceived waiting time. And this is an important word here, perceived. Because you walk in somewhere, sometimes we can gauge and we know how much time we have to spend. We know how much time we have to wait. So we say, okay, I have made the decision to join this queue because I think I will be here for X amount of time. I will place an order with this company because I think I will get my product in this period of time. I will buy something online because I know it will be shipped by a particular period in time. I will engage the service of a barber because I will know it will take X amount of time to get the haircut I want. So we have a perception of wait time. However, we know that time moves a whole lot slower when we're waiting on something. So you're on the line for 5 minutes and it feels like 5 hours. And you start getting jittery and impatient, right? So you as the business owner, the operator of the business, need to think of ways, how can I reduce this perception that people are waiting indefinitely and not getting through, right? Can you provide them with information on how long they've been waiting or how much time is left? Which is why the numbering system works. You go in some places and you pull a number and you have number 18 in your hand and you look up on the little monitor and you say 3. You start get jittery. But if you have 18 and look up on the screen and I say number 16, you feel a little more saying, oh, cool, let's soon get through, right? When you order something, we go online with a shop and we order and you're putting your shipping time. And they will send you a message for you to track your order. And you can see when this order has been processed, when it has gone out for delivery, etc. And I'm seeing that now, and a lot of us use the apps to order food. The particular one I use, it has a thing, once I place the order for my food, it tells you when the order start process. I say, yeah man, the rider reached the restaurant now. I say how long it will take to get my food. And you wait, and then the seat goes down, and you say, rider out for delivery. And I say, yes. As long as I'm not up on the road, I pop wheelie and mess up my food, I know I'm going to get my food within a particular time. So we provide tools like that to help reduce that perceived wait time, right? Then we have to monitor the queue. Unmonitored queues will result in a lot of issues. Can be overcrowded, can be longer wait time because people not adhering to the rule of the queue, meaning you wait for your turn next and that type of thing. People cutting the queue, people join the queue and say, which always amazes me, you know. Sometimes I go somewhere and I'm standing up and somebody come up behind me and they say, hey, I'm behind you. And then gone about them business. I said, what do I care about if you're behind me? I don't hold no space for you. I don't know who you are to go bad up anybody who comes up behind me and say, hey, it's not your space, that it's somebody else's space. And send them behind me. But issues like this happens when queues aren't monitored. And it doesn't mean now you're going to send a policeman out there to make sure that everybody stand up straight and nobody will cut the line and all that kind of thing. But you put systems in place, such as engaging the clients and so on, to ensure that queues are monitored. So you want to look at certain challenges which may pop up frequently in your queues and you find ways to address them. And I just gave an example of a physical queue, but any queue in your system as well needs to be monitored. Is the queue moving as fast as it should be? Is it moving too slowly? I don't think it's a bad thing to be moving too quickly, but you want to look at it. Why is the queue stagnant? What's happening? There is a problem down end with processing. So do I need to dedicate more resources to speed up processing so that things can go through the queue much more efficiently? Then that actual wait time, remember now your customer have the perceived wait time, and out of monitoring, you want to optimize the actual wait time. So this is where you do some deeper analysis now. And say, based on the demand and the supply, what I can supply in order to get this actual wait time to be optimal, I need to be processing a customer every 3 minutes. If I'm spending 5 minutes with a client, it's a sign that something wrong. So I need to sort out that process. When an order comes in online and I get an email or a notification on my dashboard that a new order comes in, if I can fulfill that order within whatever is reasonable, could be a 1 hour, could be 2 days, whatever the period is, then something is wrong with my process. Why can't I deliver or actuate based on the wait time that we have established as being optimal, and so on. So you again want to look at where the source of your bottlenecks are. Is it in production? Is it in packaging? Is it in delivery to a warehouse? Where is the bottleneck? Is it that the persons who are in the production line aren't skilled enough, or they are not fast enough? Is it my own time to do certain processing not optimal, so I need to get others to help me, and so on? But you want to look at these bottlenecks and then do your optimization. But you also want to look at your actual wait time, what the wait time should be, and your delivery time, your output rate, right? So this is where now the other part of your operations comes in, where you need to be efficient in terms of meeting this. And then now, in some cases, you have the opportunity to monetize the queue. While people are waiting, can I earn from that? We're business or entrepreneurs, so whichever way we can maximize revenue, then we look at it. Can you use the time while people are waiting to promote new products and services that they may be interested in? Even if we look at not just monetizing, but providing value to the queue, can we share information to our clients? Can we use the opportunity to do quick surveys, right? So after ordering something online, you can direct them to a section on your website where there's a quick poll. How did you find the ordering process? Were you satisfied? Are there any other products that you may be interested in from us? Things of that nature. Provide them with updates on the services that you're offering and so on, so that persons look at the queue not as a hindrance, but as a necessary part of the process. But it allows you now to be able to capture information, but also deliver your product or your service in an efficient kind of way. So now I'm going to show this little slide here again, how we look at just kind of capping what I've said a while ago, how you use queuing theory to optimize scheduling. And scheduling, as you know, is pretty much working toward putting a plan in place to deliver things in a particular sequence, whether sequentially or chronologically, based on certain demand. Now, imagine those 3 elements in the blue bubble there represent your operation, right? You would have your human or other resources, you would have your production or your processing going on, whether you're in manufacturing or a service type of thing, and then you have delivery of your service. Now, based on what customer needs and customer requests are, then you would know that you need to have a certain capacity to deliver. So all the people who are a part of your process, all the elements of production and elements of delivery need to be scheduled. So you need to schedule your human resources to ensure that you have adequate persons with the right set of skills at the time that you need to convert the ask from the customer. That conversion normally takes place through production. So on what day am I going to do what? What hour will I do the first set of operations? What needs to be started first? What happens next? What happens after that to end up with a finished product? And at what point will I schedule delivery to my customers? Now, scheduling is dependent upon other factors, obviously, such as requests coming from a sales point of view. So your various suppliers, you will know from their request to you that they need to have X amount of units of products by a certain time. You tell them, okay, based on what you need, I look at what my capacity is and I schedule it accordingly and I deliver. Same thing with service, right? One of the things we've seen with the pandemic and something that I've experienced before, I wanted to access a particular type of service and I could go online, and when I select the type of service I want, a calendar pops up with the next available date. Today is the 9th of September, so let's say I want it right now. Let's say the next available date is the 11th of November. So I click 11th of November, and it asks me, do I want 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. or 3 p.m.? And I click the one that's appropriate to me. And I said, click, and I put in all my usual contact information, and I get some, boop, your appointment has been confirmed. That is scheduling at one level, right? In your operations, you have different types of scheduling, your production scheduling and your human resource scheduling, etc. But what it does, it helps you to manage efficiently. We're talking about Agile, we're talking about the customer experience. It helps to make that customer experience be pleasant. It helps you to be able to implement Agile in a real way, because you can't be Agile if you're just operating without knowing how you're going to utilize your resources, right? It allows you to even though it's a, or is it put again, oh gosh, my brain is now frying. But we speak about responding to change versus following a plan. The schedule is a plan, but in this situation now, you need to have that plan in order to respond to a particular change. So the plan becomes your roadmap. So you can't respond to changes if you don't know what you're going to change to, or what you're changing for, or what you're responding to. So it becomes critical in that particular situation. So moving ahead now, just taking it a little bit further and breaking it down somewhat. I won't get into too much detail in this, but with the new environment, the new world that we're in now in terms of how different ways in which our consumers or customers are engaging us, especially using digital options, but even in the physical engagement options. We want to ensure that our supply chains are as robust as possible. And it becomes very difficult now, right, to ensure or to prevent bottlenecks at times, but we have to find ways around that. So the relationships that you have with the various points in the supply chain here, from your raw material suppliers, production, whether you're doing production yourself or you're outsourcing it, and what you're processing and delivering your service, to that warehouse and logistics element, if included to retail into the hands of the customer, become very important. So constant evaluation of that, application along the different points in the supply chain become important, because remember now with Agile, I mentioned that your team is more than just you know and necessarily immediate people in your organization, but the people who you have to interact with. So that relationship with your raw material suppliers becomes important. They need to be Agile, or I need to find a supplier who is Agile. They need to have good customer experience, support and provide good customer experience as well. So I can experience that to provide the same to my own customers. So it is a very integrated situation that we're talking about at different levels. Now, finally, just want to bring in a little bit on this last area, which again are a set of tools that can help us to stitch a lot of things together. And I'm just giving a little reminder right now, we're not going into a lean presentation today, but the utilization of lean techniques are important. Now, lean is something that has been used extensively, literally since the end of World War II by the Japanese to rebuild their industries. And we know that one of the most successful corporations in the world is Toyota, who have made millions and millions of cars worldwide, were one of the first organizations to use lean techniques, which incidentally they learned from the Americans who helped to rebuild Japan post-World War II. But the basic aim of lean, and you'll see the term lean manufacturing here, but it's applied not just in manufacturing like Agile is beyond IT and software, but lean aims to reduce or eliminate waste from processes. And it is that systematic approach to the identification and elimination of all forms of waste from what we call the value stream, which is your entire process of conversion to deliver to your clients. And lean has identified 7 particular types of waste that one should seek to eliminate or certainly to reduce in any process. Defects, you want to eliminate defects, as you can imagine. You don't want to spoil anything in your process. And well, it's easy to think of a defective product, a tangible product, but there are defects in processes. You don't want to have introduced or have any defects in the delivery of the service, right? You don't want when you're cutting my hair and I'm in the barber chair, you make a bad haircut. That's a defect. Waiting, which we spoke about just a while ago, you want to eliminate or certainly reduce to a minimum waiting. Waiting is waste, so it adds no value. Nothing happens when you're waiting. Motion is seen as another waste. Moving from point A to point B, if it doesn't add value in that movement, is waste. And even though we're thinking of this perhaps in a factory situation, think of it in a service situation in an office. You go to get some process and you have to take the form from this desk to another desk way around the back and hand it to a third person who looks at it and then carries it to someone else, is wasted motion. Over-processing is also another form of waste. If in processing you are doing anything which doesn't add value, if someone has to touch that form and they're not adding any value other than look on it and see that you put a comma where the comma should go, then that's over-processing. If you're adding features to your product that does nothing at all to the function, that's over-processing. Inventory is always seen as a form of waste as well, believe it or not, which is why the whole concept of just-in-time inventory has come about. But inventory, generally speaking, is seen as a waste. You want to minimize waste because you're tying up valuable resources in things which are not moving into the hands of customers. Overproduction, like overprocessing, which leads to inventory, is also a waste. So you want to optimize your production, right? And overproduction will lead to a situation where you no longer have a queue, so there is no wait time. And even though we say waiting is a waste, but if people can just come in and so on, then you're unnecessarily utilizing resources to produce things which there is no immediate demand. And finally, transportation. Similar, but a little bit different from motion, is something we also look to eliminate. So the closer to the points of distribution that you can have your goods, then you eliminate that transport waste. And we know in Jamaica, transportation can be a waste. You have to drive everywhere to pick up two and this and one and that and go all over the place and I sit in traffic. So that's just an introduction to some of the techniques from Lean that we can look at. And just to, in winding down even quicker now, look at some productivity tools that we can use which aid in some of what I've been discussing all afternoon. There is Trello. These are options. I'm sure you have seen them pop up on your internet pages from time to time. Trello, which helps with team collaboration and scheduling projects. So there are shared dashboards that your team members can see what you're doing. You can see what each other is doing. So collaboration becomes much easier in a real-time situation. Even the free to use to a lot of us, Google has a lot of serious productive tools. Google Drive, where we can share our spreadsheets and our Word documents, our slideshows, etc., and have, again, collaboration there and sharing with persons within our team or our customers. And of course, Google Drive can be connected to Google Calendar, which is another nice tool, simple tool, but you can use it for scheduling purposes and so on, and send out via your Gmail email address. And then on another level now, for those who have a little bit more sophisticated operation, then you can look at what are called enterprise resource planning systems, or ERPs. Some people will refer to MRPs, manufacturing resource planning systems. And there is one here, and I'm not connected, so I'm not getting no money from any of them. I just pull them randomly, Bitrix 24, because I know these are tools which are fairly easy for you to access in terms of cost, or in cases, some of them are free, that you can use to implement some of what we're talking about, and includes even CRM features in them, so you can manage that relationship with your customers. So let's just review. Earlier I shared a slide with the customers, with the interface and the operation, but I've flipped it now from our perspective. In our operation, we want to look at using agile techniques, the agile philosophy, along with others. It can be design thinking, it can be lean, and so on, to deal with quick response, to deal with waste reduction, to deal with innovative thinking. So you want to have that embedded in your operations. In the interface that you have now, again, implementing some of these techniques to improve scheduling and that delivery to your customer. And at the end of the day, you want your customers to enjoy or experience that kind of positive engagement. You're not just delivering a service. They don't feel like they have to come to you out of obligation and because, boy, I have to and I don't have no choice, which rarely is the situation today. Customers across, no matter what product or service area, have many choices. And it becomes more important in this kind of environment that we can pull all these together to ensure that our customers have the most positive experience ever, so that they can share with others, they can remain loyal to us, and that they can support and contribute to our sustainability as entrepreneurs with our enterprises. And on that note, I want to thank you very much for engaging me today. And I'll now turn over to Dania in case there are any questions or comments that you would like to ask.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Colin Porter, our Manager of Technical Services here at the JBDC. And of course, his presentation was on point and practical, and I'm sure very useful to our participants here today. I'm really hoping that people will take to heart some of the information that you have provided today, Colin. But I wanted to ask you, just from your perspective and your experience, where do you think we are as it relates to services being remodeled? in this current? And before you answer that, I'm just inviting persons as well. If you have any questions, please go ahead and either type the questions in the chat, or you can click on the icon indicating that you want to raise your hand, and we will certainly get to your question. So in the interim, I'm putting Colin on the spot. So just give us a little tidbit on where he thinks we are right now as it relates to services being remodeled to accommodate the whole coronavirus pandemic and, you know, moving out of the pandemic. Where do you think we are?
That's a very good question, Dania. And I have seen quite a bit of movement in a positive way for a lot of companies. And I alluded to the probably one of the more popular and obvious choice, which is in the food delivery and delivery services in general, from supermarkets and other retailers. People have responded quickly to that on both sides, both customers, users of the services, and the service providers. We've seen other businesses responding to the online engagement. As I mentioned, it's now easier for certain organizations, for certain enterprises, for you to go online and engage them. Where I think more can be done is in the area of managing queues, especially the physical queues. As you can imagine, with the concern about social spacing, as some people call it, and because they say you can't be socially distant, but social distance or social spacing, crowd gathering, and so on. I think we still can apply some more innovation, some more the queuing techniques there that can enable more efficient operations. But I think generally most entrepreneurs in Jamaica have seen and are acting in a way which is different, which allows them to have that kind of firmness of carrying out business in this new environment. So it's very encouraging, and I think with more using fora like this, where we can share information, we can engage people to provide solutions, different perspectives. And the thing is, what a Jamaican saying, when trouble take you, pick the short, fit you kind of thing. That in a way is probably one way of saying be agile, be responsive, right? Because I can imagine a big grown person and you're in such a situation that a smaller person's clothing will fit you. That means that you have done something to change, to adapt to the situation. So I think, we have it in us, and we're seeing signs out there, certainly from our clients and other people, other entrepreneurs out there who are responding.
All right, thank you very much, Colin. I mean, you have certainly given us a lot of takeaways in terms of this particular biz zone, but for any small business that may be listening today, and you have certainly provided some tools as well in terms of that we can utilize to apply some of these areas you mentioned, queue management, becoming agile and so forth. But for any small business that may be listening in today and maybe thinking, all of this sounds overwhelming, can I really do some of the things that he's suggesting? Do you think that, it can be done? Or do you think the cost hurdle that some persons may be thinking about right now can be, overcome? Well, how do you think they can approach it if they may be feeling a bit, overwhelmed or bombarded with this?
They say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Firstly, these are, even though they're now being pushed as new ways and we're remodeling and we're pivoting and so on, these techniques have been around and been proven for years, for decades now. You have us as an organization who have some capacity and some knowledge of these that can guide persons through this. But if you break down each and you think about it, there's a lot of logic and everyday common sense in some of these issues as well. I always like to think that when you learn about these type of philosophies, these type of principles and so on, think firstly about how you can use them in your everyday life before you even start thinking about your business. And I like to think that running your business sometimes should mirror how you function every day. We have routines in our everyday life, and a lot of these principles are, they become routine after a while once you understand the concept and you implement the concepts and you practice it. So I'd mentioned earlier having a quality management system in place. And a quality management system pretty much is just a set of rules that you follow. You establish a standard, this is how I'm going to do it, and you follow it, right? If you deviate from it in one way, then you deviate from your standard. So you're either below your standard or you exceed your standard, right? If you're doing it much better. And typically we learn one lean technique that we use a lot is the whole philosophy of Kaizen or continuous improvement, right? These are about continuous improvement, how to become agile. It is necessary, sink or swim. So don't think that you're going to transform your enterprise in just one swoop. Look at, we like to say, the low-hanging fruits, areas which you can address. So right now, if you're very weak on customer service, you don't respond to emails, you take a long time to follow up with requests, or you're having issues delivering your products on time. Start right there and see how you can address that before you take on an entire organization. Typically, when we start to analyze some of these situations, it will lead to other points in the operation which will need addressing because a lot of things are connected. If you're not answering emails, it could be because you're so busy and consumed in trying to fight fires elsewhere. So maybe you don't start with just trying to answer the emails immediately, but you try to fight the fire down the road and you eliminate that. So you free up some time, talking about lean. So you don't have to be the head cook and bottle washer trying to resolve all the issues in the operation, but you put systems in place, some way which may take some time to put in place, others can be done easier, that can help you to resolve other issues. So it's just a matter of understanding your entire operations, having the commitment as well that you need to make the changes and tackle it one area at a time.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, Colin. So you think it can be done?
It can be done.
It can be done.
People are doing it.
Yes, people are doing it. And of course, as Colin said, please don't forget that you have the JBDC that is also here to assist you in terms of any of the issues that you may have or just trying to navigate the way forward in terms of queue management, agile management, any of those that you want to implement to try and get your service remodeled. The JBDC is here to assist you. Colin, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but I'm going to throw it out again because it's not often that we get this opportunity to be able to ask questions that we can apply to our day-to-day lives as well as for our respective businesses that we may be struggling with. And so I'm gonna throw it out to you. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat or click on the icon indicating that you want to raise your hand. I'm sorry, Colin, what did you say?
Or in the comments.
Or the comments, yeah, yes. So, or any comments you may have as well. And Colin, because you head such a major department within the JBDC, I'm just going to put you on the spot again and just ask you to give a little summary of some of the assistance that persons may be able to get through the JBDC in terms of remodeling their services for their respective businesses. And you can tell some of the services which we actually do provide here. If you could just provide some of that information to our participants, that would be good.
Okay, sure. Well, the main set of services that probably are directly relevant to the presentation here today would be our engineering services. So from our perspective, dissecting or analyzing your operation, whether it's your manufacturing operations or your other business processes, we can look at ways in which we can assist in optimizing that using some of the lean tools you mentioned, looking at improving productivity in your operations, looking at your processes, making suggestions to improve those processes is something that we offer. From the layout of your operations, if necessary, we haven't done it, but helping to help to analyze and come up with those optimal queuing models that may work for you in your system. You know, looking at embedding standards, helping you to establish your standard operating procedures are some areas that we can help. And we have some other specialized areas for specific industries, persons in agro-processing and food, for example, persons into fashion and gift and craft and accessories, self-furnishing type of thing, and even persons doing some amount of cosmeceutical products. We can certainly support it there, but even persons with service-based enterprises, we can help you with the process flow there, as I mentioned. We have other team, not directly related to the presentation here, but certainly will help to enhance the customer experience, which is our visual communication or our graphic design support. So whether it is designing your collateral material from your brochures upwards, your business cards, to helping you to create the branding elements that you need, your logos that you can use for trademarks and so on, our team can provide that assistance in helping your organization. And of course, as some may know, we have our incubators or production spaces where persons can come in if they may not have their own set of resources for producing certain items, certainly on the fashion, the food, and the craft side of things. And also meeting room spaces where for service-based industries, you can come in and have a quiet space to do some planning and organizing and interacting with your own clients as well. We have those services that we provide.
Okay, all right. I am actually seeing where we have a question coming up in the chat from Yashika Henry. She has said to you, Colin, great presentation. Can you recommend the best customer service management software that will enhance customer service?
Well, Yashika, you're going to get me in trouble here because there are many of them out there. I would prefer to have you do a search to look online for various CSM packages out there, because different ones have different features which may suit different needs. So depending on what your needs are in terms of the scale, what it offers, even a simple thing such as the pricing and so on become important to different people. So I would suggest, Yashika, and hopefully you don't think I'm not being helpful, but for you to look online and to see what you have. I know the Bitrix one, which is something I'm a little bit familiar with, is one of the, what shall I say, one of the top ones in the industry. You have a few others out there. Trello, well, Trello is more a collaborative kind of thing, but a few others out there. Some of the names are not even coming to me right now. But if you just Google top CSM software or packages out there, then you can see several reviews. So you can read each review and determine which one is most appropriate for you.
Okay, all right. So she has said, great presentation, Colin. It was very insightful and she learns a lot.
Thank you.
And of course, she will definitely check out the options that you have provided for her. And she has said you have been very helpful. So if anybody else, this is the last call. If you have any further questions for Colin, please go ahead and let us know, or any comments that you may have, even as it relates to your experience with services being remodeled during this pandemic. Please go ahead and type it in the chat, or click on the icon if you want to make a comment. And just to let you know, while you may be doing so, hopefully you'll be doing so. Well, before I do that, Colin, I'm just going to allow you, if you have any final comments or suggestions that you want to give persons prior to me touching on some of the other areas I'll be touching on shortly, please go ahead and give it to the persons, whatever the participants you think could benefit from, as it relates to your last comments on services being remodeled. My
last comment is just to reiterate that always put yourself in the shoes of the customer as well. Earlier, I'm not sure how many of you were in Althea's presentation this morning, but I love design thinking. And the part of design thinking which I really like is the whole empathy side. Put yourself in the shoes of your customers and understand what they need. Once you can understand what you are providing or what solutions your customers need, then that eliminates a lot of things for you. Because once you can understand, then it makes it much easier for you to provide a type of solution for your customers.
All right.
Not just in the product, in the what, but in the how you get it to them and how you interface with them as well. All right. So I want to leave that with you. The customer focus is everything, regardless of the type of industry you are in.
All right, I'm seeing where Owen Brown actually had his hand up. I don't know, Owen Brown, are you still there? Do you still want to ask your question?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Right, I was actually going back to the question that you asked earlier, or he was to some extent attempting to respond to, for persons who during this pandemic, how it may probably affect them and the operations and all. Right. For someone who may to some extent don't have as much to say, well, all right, I'm going to employ this person, to ensure that I answer emails and all of that. How, in practical ways, how can persons, if it's a person that's there by themselves, trying to get their small business up and running, to really capitalize on what's happening now with social media. They may not be that savvy technically, but how can they then navigate in remodeling them and getting the best out of the small business that they have, especially now?
All right. Okay. A very good question, Mr. Brown.
Very good
Colin?
question, Owen.
Yes.
All right. I'm assuming you have a smartphone that you have your email on it, right?
Right.
Now, go back to a simple method of scheduling. You are the lone operator in your business, so we know your time is going to be busy from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed. But try to schedule and write it down until it becomes routine. Create times for different activities. During what I would call prime time is when you have to be up and engaging with people and so on. So whether it is first thing in the morning or last thing before you shut down, you want to say, okay, I'm going to dedicate 1 hour each day or every other day, whatever the frequency, depending on how many emails you get, how many messages you get. I'm going to dedicate that to my response time. So I know every evening at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. is when I'm going to read all my emails, read all my DMs if I have social media, check my website, what have you, and organize and respond to my emails. Because not all emails you get will be ones that you may need to respond to. And even if it can't give a full response to some, because some may require you to do more, but at least to respond to the person, acknowledging that, thank you for your email, I've received your thing. Allow me to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll provide a fuller response to you by a given appropriate time, right? So we have to retrain ourselves to start thinking regimentally as an entrepreneur. You literally now have to start, put yourself, especially for those who operate as single sole owner kind of thing. You have to, and I don't mean this in a negative way, create different personalities for yourself. So you are the administrative person during this time of the day. You are the operations manager during this time of the day. You are the marketing person at this particular time, and so on. And it may not be that rigid, because obviously real life will cross over, but you want to have some dedicated times that you do your email. Until it becomes routine, you may have to now use the alarm feature on your phone or reminder feature on your phone. Again, set up you have apps that can download and for you to remind, or use the calendar feature. Beep, 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 beep. Remember to check emails. You know, so you can start with simple things like that as a single operator until you can get the support and until you can take on more sophisticated tools.
Okay, all right, very good question. Very good answer, Colin, sorry. And some of the suggestions that you made earlier coming out now, because of course, scheduling is very important. And if you can identify some of the key areas based on what Colin is saying, that your business needs, you can schedule some points throughout the day that you can, you know, delegate some of your time towards addressing some of those key areas. So, you know, it won't be that far in terms of your response time or, you know, processes. So thank you very much for that answer, Colin. We actually have another question from Cleopatra Behari, and she's asking, is there currently any support for setting up a limited liability entity? And of course, this is right up our alley. So Colin, back to you.
Yes, well, as you know, you would have to, and when you say setting up Cleopatra, I'm sure you mean more than just registering the entity, but looking at other areas of support in that. And yes, JBDC offers some support through our business advisory services unit. You know, if you're not yet a client of ours, you can call us to be onboarded as a client, and they can provide you with necessary steps that will take you on the path to setting up your limited liability company. And I'm sure Dana will share our contact information afterwards, but the main number is 928-516125, and they will transfer you to necessary officer, or you may send an email to info@jbdc.net. Right, and of course, you know, we have our social media pages here where you can interact with us as well.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much for that, Colin. I'm not seeing any more questions. So, okay, Cleopatra said thank you. I'm not seeing any more questions, so I am assuming that nobody else has any more comments or questions that they have for Colin today. But of course, Colin, as usual, your presentation is always on point and always very useful and informative. And I'll encourage anybody, if you're late today, or even if you missed our previous presentation that was at 10 a.m. this morning, with our presenter, Mrs. Althea West-Myers, you can go to the JBDC's YouTube page, JBDC Jamaica, and of course, like and subscribe to our page, of course, and go ahead and watch some of the presentations that we have made before, not just this particular week with GW or these particular set of presentations, but we have a whole host of videos and presentations that would have touched on different topics, even some of the areas that Colin has mentioned today. We have done some series on those too, which may be helpful to you. So please don't hesitate to go and check out our YouTube page, JBDC Jamaica. If you got in late today, you can actually get to hear some of the information that Colin had said earlier. And of course, as Colin mentioned, we have our social media pages on Instagram and also on Facebook. If you have any other questions, you can go ahead, you can type your questions there and we will definitely respond to you. Or you can call us at the numbers Colin mentioned. We have the general numbers at 876-928-5161-5. That's 876-928-5161-5. Or you can email us, as Colin said, just repeating for those who may have missed it, at info@jbdc.net. Or you can also check us out on Instagram. Please don't forget to check out our additional lineups for GEW, Global Entrepreneurship Week. As I said earlier, it will be from the 8th to the 14th of November, and we have other activities. Tomorrow we will be having Opportunity Evening. On Thursday, we will be having Raising Capital. And on Friday, the Entrepreneur's Journey. And of course, what is normally a big and exciting activity to end the GEW for us is the JBDC Boss of the Year Awards. That will be on Friday as well. And please don't forget also to check out our website, www.jbdc.net. So I really want to thank everybody that took the time out to be here with us today. I really want to thank our presenter, Mr. Colin Porter. As I said, always on point, always willing to help. And he has so much information that can assist individuals. You can definitely access him via technical services here at the JBDC's Incubator and Resource Center. I'm not going to give the address quite yet, but definitely if you want to reach out to him via any of the numbers, you can definitely try to do so to get additional information. So I think that will be it for me today. As again, thank you very much for being here, and we'll look forward to you participating or even visiting our pages to get additional information or resources